So this is the first news for the day, which is Tesla
Mm.
dealerships are disconnecting radar sensors in the U.S. So I'll I'll start
You
by
wanted to get
what
me riled up straight away, didn't you?
they were doing this in Australia. Apparently, there were reports of them doing it by software and then getting them back, and people were experiencing funky things that they were attributing to this. But all of this was, like one of, I don't know how to call it, like a conspiracy theory. But they were saying people were very adamant that Tesla had already been doing this, but now they are disconnecting them physically. So
Wow.
this is from thedrive.com.au, and
This is very Tesla.
it is very Tesla, and it's from Jordan Mollack from the 7th of June. So pretty much today. Um, US electric car giant Tesla is reportedly disconnecting radar sensors while servicing existing models, forcing its semi autonomous driving technology to rely solely on camera based systems. So, this article, the very first one, goes a little bit about that, but then there's a second one that says, why is Tesla quietly deactivating safety radars from some owners from the Canberra Times? And the main thing about this one is that they actually go through some people that went and said, no, I don't want to, I don't want that. And then they sort of forced them into it. So apparently, what the reports from these people is they would take it to service the car for whatever reason, and they would receive a message that said, we are doing this to your car. And then they would go and they would delete it, and they said, no, you have to do it. It's like, but I don't want to. And eventually, they would essentially force them, and they would tell them they would. Very soon, they would actually do it on software, so it made no point still having them connected. And that's the gist of it. Have I read the articles? But that is pretty much what they go on about. What do you think, Kieran?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like what I'm annoyed about is more the the fact that they have abandoned radar sensors in the first place. Like I think that radar is a better way. Like there's reports of cars that have less phantom braking with full self driving, and overall are much better with the radar. But it is
Not
their
only
strategy. It's very public that that's their strategy. Elon Musk is like, yep, we don't want radars. They're too expensive, etc., etc. And they're going full in on vision technology, which to a degree does make sense. Like we as humans have two eyes and we can do this stuff. But I
wrong.
think it's like if you
We
want a
do it wrong.
car,
Like when
yeah,
when
we
you hear
do it
about
wrong.
radar, you think of like dolphins that never crash onto stuff unless something happens, or
Hmm.
or bats or
Yeah,
something like that. So this would actually let you see things that you couldn't see. So I think this.
exactly. And I think that's why that's super important. Like I think radar gives you an extra sense that a human doesn't, which makes cars safer. And that's what Tesla's all about, to try and make cars safer. But again, it's like a cost thing. We can see with
Is
their
it?
trajectory right now, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to save money.
That it was not a massive cost. Like it wasn't, like, compared to the whole price of the car. I think it had more to do with manufacturing and adding steps, and
Yeah,
more
but you
about
got
the
to think
streamlining the
about it.
process.
You got to think about it from a software point of view, though. Software is cheap. You can build software, you can make it better. But hardware, you have to buy it, you have to source it, especially during the pandemic, which I think is where this was triggered, is trying to source that particular part. You've also got to run wiring to it. You've also got to maintain it and repair it when it breaks, etc. And so having the cameras being, you're like, you already need the cameras anyway. Having software that gets better and better over time is a lot
Is it
cheaper.
getting better and better all the time?
Well, yeah, you can debate on that. Like, hopefully it should be. And I think that
I mean,
maybe they need to get better on that stuff. But
but the ultrasonic sensors, not only the radar or the lidar, but also the ultrasonic sensors. There's no way a camera can accurately. Well, I don't know.
yeah,
I have a very strong opinion about something that I don't completely understand, especially in the next 5 years. But it seems very unlikely that a camera
yeah,
can achieve the degree of accuracy, especially when it's not well lit, especially when it's raining, especially when it's dusty or dirty, especially when
yeah,
there's all of these things that a sensor, it's impervious to.
yeah.
So,
I think it's silly. I think, yeah, maybe the radar, I could be convinced
mhm.
with enough evidence that removing the radar is a good idea. But the ultrasonic parking sensors, for me, that's a huge no. Just because Like if you're in a car park and there's a bollard, you don't want to hit it. You don't want to hit your expensive car and break it. If you've got an ultrasonic sensor that warns you you're going to back into another car, or that an object's there that you just can't see, then that's
But
kind of important.
then there's
Because
one more thing that is even more important than all of this. People that bought their cars before 2021, my car is 2022, it doesn't come with a radar, but people that bought them before, they bought them with a spreadsheet that included this technology, that included this piece of hardware. The
yeah,
fact that they are going back and removing something that you paid for, it's not, innocuous. It's not something small. It's something that corporations in general, not only Tesla, because I know that lots of people do it. It shouldn't be a thing. That's what I'm saying. And
yeah, I
it
think
is a
it really
thing.
really sucks. Like I think it's bad, and it's not good. If you've got the thing in the radar in there, you should have that feature. I guess from a software point of view as well, the problem is that you can't, like, to make you maintaining your software easy, you really want to have a consistent thing, so that you can have one version instead of having like, oh, this is a version of the Tesla software for if you have a radar, this is if you don't have a radar, this is if you have ultrasonics and not ultrasonics. Having all of these different versions and SKUs of your software, or conditions, or extra bits of code to check those sorts of things, makes it more expensive to maintain, and that's another reason why they don't want to do that. And I can
Well,
see from that software point of view that makes sense.
hold
But
on.
again, it sucks for the people that bought that older version.
But here's the thing. This is what Musk said, and this is what This is the This is what he's
Yeah.
trying to push, and this is a quote. It says, "The probability of safety will be higher with pure vision than vision plus radar, not lower. Vision has become so good that radar actually reduces signal/noise." Mr. Musk said, hold on, "A very high resolution radar would be better than pure vision, but such a radar does not exist. I mean, vision with high res radar would be better than pure vision." So what he's saying is that radar makes it worse, not better, because there's signal noise with
Hmm.
uh, radar actually reduces signal noise. What does that even mean? Like, what signal noise for what? For vision, reducing? I
But it's
don't
a
know.
signal to noise ratio. So how much noise do you have versus how much signal? So what you want is, you want as much signal as possible and less noise.
I
And the
understand that, but
problem,
from what? From the
yeah,
radar or
the
from the?
problem with having a radar, a vision and radar, is that the radar is giving you a lot of noise, and that's what he's trying to explain there, that the radar, like, most of the time is useless. Sometimes, yeah, like in particular situations it's good, but having to deal with all of that noise when it's not good is what he's
It
trying to say there.
seems when you talk when you say it like that, it seems like that should be a problem for a software engineer. So what you're saying is it sucks now because it receiving too much information and too much noise. So instead of making it better, we're gonna
Yeah, but
remove it.
that's another software principle. If you can actually not write code, then that code doesn't break. Like, actually not writing code or not having to deal with the situation. So you could write a whole bunch of stuff to filter all of the noise and make the sensor work and do all this sort of stuff, and then you have to maintain all that code and make sure it works, and etc. Or you can just go, okay, let's just remove the radar completely and put all of our energy into vision, because we know it's mostly going to work. Like, and I think they're overconfident in the fact that it's going to work. And
That
then,
is
yeah,
probably sorry to
there you
interrupt
go.
you there, but that is the key. I think they're very confident, maybe more than they should. Maybe we don't understand the whole thing, but I think they are very confident that this would be better.
Yeah, and they'll either be proven right when they come out with this version that's super amazing, or it's going to be similar to that promise that Elon's been saying over and over again of, like, FSD is going to be here next year, and then next year, and then next year, and then next year.
All right, all right. There used
So
to
I
be
don't
a
know.
time. Okay. Let's summarize. I'll just put on this comment here. There used to be a time, maybe around 7 to 8 years ago, that if Elon Musk said something, that thing happened. Every
Hmm.
single time, people would have shirts made. Like whatever it was, it didn't matter. If Elon Musk said
Hmm.
it, it became true. And probably since around the time of the Cybertruck, things are not like that anymore. Actually, quite the opposite. If he says something very often it's exactly the opposite. And that's the world we're living in, and that's why we have concerns about all of this. And I guess it's just talking about it because there's not much we can do. What do you do?
Yeah, it sucks for the customers that have a thing and it's removed. That really is the summary here.
Yes.
And it's sort of shady.
All right. Sexy cars. I hate this. The name that this article, the way that this article has been framed. Sexy cars key to helping GM outsell Tesla. Okay, that's from Car Expert. The main thing is that this is very irrelevant. The most important thing is how GM it's dead set on taking in overtaking Tesla by 2025. So what they are saying is, I don't think it's a permanent lead, the lead from Tesla. We've seen it time and time again. So there's a couple of quotes here that I think are very, very interesting. Probably this is one of the most interesting ones that says, we're a fashion business as well, and we're here to, we're a fashion business as well, and where people want a car that represents them, it has to represent their life, sometimes their livelihood. It's not just, I can design something that is very aerodynamic, which is exactly what Tesla is doing, by the way.
Yes.
So this is exactly going against the other one. So it gives me the best battery efficiency. Again, that's what Tesla is saying. And now everyone wants to drive that. And so I think understanding and driving the efficiency with not just replicating today's very complex global ICE portfolio. ICE stands for internal combustion engine. Sorry, yes. But really looking strategically. So what GM is saying is, we're going to make cars for everyone, and we are going to go somewhere else that is not efficiency, which is essentially what has been driving the design and every single thing about Tesla. There's this whole thing about Elon Musk not only not wanting, but actually fighting actively not to have to put the mirrors, the rearview mirrors in the cars, because they would reduce, because they would increase drag. So what GM is saying is, no, that's not what we're doing. We're going to make them pretty. We're going to make them colorful. We are a fashion industry, and that's how we're going to sell more. What do you think about that one, Kieran?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. I guess I want to ask some questions back at you. Did you buy your electric car because of the way that it looked?
I will flip that question on its back. If it would have looked shit, would you have bought it?
I think so.
If it would have looked like absolute rubbish,
if it was absolute rubbish, probably not. I do like the look of it.
Well.
But I think some people don't like the look of Teslas, and they still buy them because they're the best electric car.
I get that.
I don't think the way they look matters as much as some of these other factors. Like, most people, when they ask about the car, is like, what's the range? What's the battery size? What's the warranty? Like, there's all these questions.
I get it.
Some people like them and some people don't. But I don't think the strategy to win in EVs is to make sexy cars that are really inefficient and have low range.
It's already happening. Look at the Hummer. Some people are already doing this.
But the Hummer. I don't know.
All right.
The Hummer is. I don't know. It's different. I guess the Hummer sort of has this brand name and this sort of thing about being of excess. But
a lot of GM cars have that. Lots of Ford cars have those. Lots of supercars. Like, if you grab a lot of these, like, let's talk about the muscle cars in America, Mustangs, your Corvettes, that kind of stuff. That's what they are selling you, this sexiness, this fast car lifestyle, this kind of stuff. And it works. So here's the thing. All right. Let's think that the Leaf wasn't crap. Because it is crap, all right.
Yeah.
But it also looks like crap. Do you think that if the Leaf would look fantastic, it would be selling better?
I think it would. Yeah, I do.
That's
I do. If it looks better, it looks like a cheap car, and that's the problem.
And it's not a cheap car; it's an expensive car.
No,
so if you're going to spend $50,000, you could buy like entry-level Mercedes for that.
Exactly. But then if I look at what Hyundai and Kia are doing, more Hyundai with their latest car, like, it looks good. They have changed their design language. And I think of them, their brand is much better now because they do look great. So yeah, I think this kind of arguing with myself with earlier comments that it doesn't matter. But at the same time, for some car companies, it has actually really helped them turn from a cheap manufacturer to a good one. But I think it's the sum of all parts, right? So it's not just how it looks; it's the other factors too.
I do
Yeah.
believe that if you have an incredibly looking car, so okay, let me prove you wrong. Muscle cars are not a thing because they drive faster than every other single car, because at this point they really aren't. There's lots of production normal cars, Corollas, that are faster than a production car. They are not more effective. They are not better cars in any way, shape, or form. Muscle cars, especially classic cars, are just are being bought and traded and collected because of the way they look.
Yeah, but if a
It's a
muscle
huge.
car is like the slowest car on the road, is anyone going to buy it though? Like, isn't it more the history of the fact that when that muscle car
Yes,
came out, it was fast and it was great? Like, so it wasn't just the way that car looked.
but
Like,
then
because
why would
effectively you could just grab any car and put a fancy, like retro skin on it and make it look completely different and
there's
go, oh,
people
well, I
that do
love this
that?
car now.
There's
Yeah.
there's all of these model kits for like for Lotus, that they have like a Volkswagen Beetle in it, and just because it looks cool. What I'm trying to say is this is a huge market, and if you cannot beat Tesla in battery chemistry, battery management, in all of those things, then I think this is a good language to have. Hopefully the
Yeah.
cars won't be crap, because then obviously that would have an impact. But I do believe that that's clever thinking in a time where marketing is not always clever, and we keep seeing examples of
Mm.
that all the time.
Yeah,
They are
GM
not.
have been massively underperforming in this area. They've not selling a lot of electric cars.
Well, the Bolt was crap as well. That was the main
Yeah.
thing, and I think Bolt was very early, and they put a lot of things on that Bolt, but it was not a good car, and not a lot of people bought it, and I think they are sort of like burnt
It was a
because of
cool
that.
car. Like, you could buy the Volt in Australia and it was a great car.
Do you think it was a great car? It was
Well,
small.
when
It
it
had a
when it
very small
came out.
battery. It was a golf cart essentially. The Bolt. It was. It was. All
Yeah.
right. And okay, so do you think the Bolt was a good car? Do you think the Bolt was not served as it should have been at the time?
Well, there was the um
Let me rephrase my question.
oh
I'll rephrase my question. Do you think the Bolt is still relevant now? If people would go and buy the Bolt right now?
no. Oh, well, I guess it's in the secondhand market. Sure, it's it's an
Do you
affordable
think so?
secondhand car. No, I'm talking about the Volt, which is the Holden Volt in Australia, which
That's
was
what
a
that's what I'm
different
talking about.
electric car.
Holden and GM are
Because
the
there's
same.
the yeah. So there's the Volt, which was the Australian version, but then there's the Bolt with a B in America, looks quite different and is a small car,
That's the
whereas
one
the
that I'm
Volt was
talking
more of
about.
a
I'm talking about
sedan.
the Bolt with a B for boobs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So there wasn't many that's got sold in Australia. It was only in 2012 to 2014 the Volt was sold here, and it was an
Oh well,
exciting
the
electric
Volt
car.
with a V. That's the one
Yeah,
that
with a
looked
V.
almost like a Fiesta or like. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about. I didn't see many of those on the road. I don't know if I was in Australia when that one was.
It's
Maybe I
quite
was.
expensive though as well.
Yeah, I think that one. I just because you mentioned it, I remember it. But I thought we were talking about the Bolt with the B for
Yeah, the Bolt. Yeah, small
Ben.
car, not very exciting. It is cheapish, so it's maybe a good entry level car. But yeah, they've had all sorts of problems with it. They've had battery fires, they've had
That's what
software
I'm saying. That's what I'm
issues.
saying. That's exactly what
Yeah,
that's the one that I'm talking about. The
exactly.
Bolt.
The
All right.
Bolt.
So, do
Yeah,
you think that GM was also lacking behind because they have all of these massive issues with the Bolt?
exactly. Yeah, I do think so. I do think they have issues with it, and it's not. If they made a sexy Bolt, I don't think they're going to sell more of them. They need other stuff too.
They are only discontinuing it now, like it says right here in the article, and we're talking about the Bolt, not the Volt. It's now discontinuing the boxy Bolt, and it's only recently rebuilt Bolt EUV crossover sibling, effectively replacing them with the new Equinox EV, which will have a base price even lower than both, at $30,000 American or $45,000 Australian. The dollar reduced, as they are called.
Yeah,
So,
and it's probably if it was to come out here, it would be a lot more expensive. There's
and
the
plus on
AU
roads, that
tax.
you'll be looking at what, $58,000-$60,000 probably,
Yeah,
plus on roads. With
if they
on
ever
roads,
brought it
sorry.
here.
All right. This one is yours. This one is from The
Yeah,
Driven as well, and it's by Daniel Blickley talking
very
about it.
exciting. So I get my shopping delivered to my house, which is really convenient, especially a young one. It's hard to get out sometimes and go to the shops, so it's great. But then, the cost of it is that that all of my deliveries are being delivered by a petrol truck. And this is exciting because Woolworths are going to be converting all of their home delivery vehicles to electric by 2030. And so I think that's super exciting for the climate. And it's also trucks, because trucks are also lower down on the list in, like, after cars. So the cars are coming out, and people are buying those, but it doesn't seem to, there's not like a mass market truck that everyone's like, yeah, this is the electric truck that is going
So
to
what are they going to
do
use?
the
That's the
long
main
form
question.
thing. These are made by Photon Motors and SAIC as well. I can't say that very well, but they are both, I think they're both Chinese models. So yeah, there are electric trucks out there, but they're not as, I guess, well known
I don't know if we're ready for.
as,
Well, let's say 2030. There's a
yeah.
lot of ifs and buts about this one. So obviously the kumbaya reason is climate change. That's good, and we have an article about that. Which
But
is
also silence too, right? Like if you've got a truck in your street delivering things for people, if it's late at night and it's really quiet, then I think the neighborhood would like that more.
fair
And also
enough.
the fumes too, if it's idling and sitting around a lot. The good thing
So
about this particular thing is that they're short distances, because the distances for these trucks to go is, like, it's not interstate. It's not the trucks which are going to be more difficult to convert. It's short last mile deliveries, and a lot of the time, yeah, they're just sitting there idling.
all right.
So they can,
Yeah,
whenever
this
they
is
go
true.
back and
This
grab some
is
more deliveries, they can recharge.
that is a big one. The one that you just mentioned. They spend a lot of time idling while with the car on. That would just waste a massive amount of fuel. And the fuel is very getting very expensive. So like I said, leaving the green kumbaya reasons, even the noise, I think it has economical reasons that could affect. Uh, could the delivery become cheaper? Because that's
Yeah, well, I
one of the
think it's
main
going to save
ones.
them money.
Okay,
So they had
now
to raise the prices of their deliveries when the petrol price went up.
here's another one. If you let me put my tinfoil hat for a second, one of the big things about electric cars is also automation. So, do you think by 2030 we would be looking at maybe certain areas being also automated in the delivery? 7 years away.
Yeah, I don't know. What I would like to see is autonomous trucks, but it's difficult. This particular situation is difficult to completely automate, because you've got different driveways, different houses, all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
there's
I
there's
think
works
interstate
around that.
trucking
No, well,
would
yeah,
be
no, hold on, but there's there's
would be
there's works
automated.
around that. But very famously, and I know it was like a publicity stunt, but Domino's was doing it with the stupid robot. So
Yeah.
and Amazon was doing it with the drones, and I know all of these things that haven't worked and they're just publicity stunts. But at the end of the day, could you go and say, the Woolies is never further away than what 3 or 4 k's away here in most metropolitan areas in Australia, and they would have a range that is maybe even not more than 1 or 2 k's. Which, for example, is I'm in range for Woolies that is only 1.5 k's away, and just say, you know what, I'm gonna be at home for the next. So you get a message that says your delivery is ready. I'm gonna be at home for the next couple of hours. You press a button, and it tells you with GPS where it's going, and
Mm.
where can you just go and unload it. And it's literally a crate that you get. You unload it, and it drives away.
Yeah.
I see that working in a completely automated fashion in, let's say, a 1K or 2K suburban area. That
Yeah,
could
I think it's
work.
possible. I think it's definitely going to be possible. It's just, is Woolies going to do it, or is it another company going to do it? I suspect Amazon might be uh,
Amazon is not going
faster to
fully
doing that.
electrical. Woolworths is.
Yeah, true. But this Amazon might, but it's
Amazon already found a better
this
way.
is the strategy for Woolies, is to go with these trucks and to do the traditional thing. They're not talking about automating
I
it
know
and
they are
getting rid of
not. I
workers,
know they are
but
not. I'm sorry, and I know that you don't like beep 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 beep. but
yeah,
this is
I don't know.
2030.
Potentially somebody could come in and disrupt it and do that. So yeah, it's an option.
Amazon
But
is not going to be, for a very simple reason. Amazon already found the perfect way, which is cheap migrant labor. I'm sorry, but that's exactly what they are doing. You
yeah.
can just go and register your car and start delivering for Amazon tomorrow, and you get like this small wage that is better than working in a cafe, and that's what they are doing.
Yeah.
And it's that every single migrant under the sun that can, for whatever reason, cannot find a job can't can do it this way. And there's this graph about how many migrants are actually doing this, and it's a huge amount. And to be honest,
Mm.
when I came into Australia, if this would have been an option, maybe I would have done it because it is a viable option, like Uber driving and all of these things. So what is called the share economy. Anyway, this is not what this is about. This is about electric trucks from Woolies, and
Yep.
it's interesting on its own. Tesla full self-driving software testing in Australia. There's a report that the most advanced and most
Mm.
controversial iteration of Tesla semi-autonomous driving software is currently being tested in Australia, according to report. Now. I know what you're gonna say, Kieran, because you already told it to me, and I am, and I know you're gonna say that this is an old article. But the thing about it is that apparently, they found out in the code of the update of 2023 1210, the FSD had already been installed in 2 Tesla vehicles in Australia, which
Mm.
is more recent.
Yeah, so it's very exciting. Personally, I'm very excited about this because I want to be able to test it. I would like this in my car. I'm frustrated with the version of FSD that's available in Australia right now that you can get.
Would you pay
It's
the
quite
10
an
grand?
old version. I don't know if it was doing the same level of driving that it's doing in the US, like some of those videos. Yeah, I would,
But
because it
but
is
only
driving
in
itself.
very like yes, it's doing those levels, but it's doing those levels like in the Bay Area or in LA or in places that have
I've
been
seen
mapped.
it in some very tricky situations and it's doing very well. But I think for me, I'm more motivated by actually experiencing it and trying it and seeing how it works more as a new technology thing, not necessarily as a consumer of I want to use this thing. It's more of that I want to experience it and also say talk about it on YouTube and share it with friends and that sort of thing as well. So I guess I have more motivation than the usual person.
Mm. You think it's
But
cool and you want to try it essentially.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
not more that you
Yeah.
see an everyday use.
Whereas right now, the current version is not that cool, and I because of the phantom braking, I turned it off a lot because it's frustrating that when you're in the car, that the car just goes and suddenly turns like slows down
You can
if there's
override it.
somebody in front of you. Yeah, you can override it, but it's really frustrating because you're driving along, somebody goes in front of you, and the car just like slams on the brakes, and because it is so quick at slowing down, it is a massive jolt, and it's surprising.
Yes.
So
Well, I
yeah.
use it thoroughly, but the way that I drive with it is I turn it on and off at all times, and then I also keep my foot in the pedal because I know that it's gonna come. Like if I see a car going on top, then I would turn it off or I would accelerate because I know it's being stupid. So I sort of like, I I I see the is the autopilot because or how do they call it, enhanced autopilot.
Yeah, and it's just autopilot. If you don't buy anything, it's just
It's
autopilot.
just autopilot. I see the autopilot. I have a relationship with it, like like a mother-in-law.
Yeah,
It's there. You kind of like her, but she's obtrusive, and it's like, okay, we'll work together, but let's not try to.
yeah.
And
But wouldn't it be better if it was a bit dumber then? If it just kind of it worked more consistently
but I like
and
to
it
do
was
stuff, so I don't mind it personally. I
yeah,
like to do stuff. I like to say no, bad autopilot, turn you
yeah.
off. I'll start
But
you
the whole
again.
reason for having autopilot, isn't it? Is it to make it so it takes that away, right? It makes you don't
That's an
have to
interesting
constantly
one.
accelerate. You can set a speed limit. You can get it to do all of these things. And I know if I'm traveling interstate between Adelaide and Melbourne, for example, autopilot's amazing because I'm not tired when I get there 8.5 hours later.
True,
But
but
but if I'm on city streets and I'm in bumper to bumper traffic, I would like it to just gradually creep up if I'm in at moving and I can just not have to think about having to constantly move up. But no, I can't do that right now
I
because
do
it's not
it
good
in
enough.
traffic. I do it. It's
Yeah.
not too bad. But again, I have adjusted because you know that you can adjust how much it breaks and stuff like that. Anyway,
Mm. But
regardless
I
of
think
that,
I think if this was to come, this would be amazing. And it's been a long time. there's also that when it does come, the price is probably going to jump up and increase. So for
That
some
is a big one.
people, it may be worth buying the version now. If you had any sort of thinking, oh, I might get it one day, and you do have a $10,000 hole burning in your pocket, and you want to spend some money, it might be worth doing it now to save a little bit. But again,
Okay,
it's
now
a lot of money for something that isn't here yet.
and that has been under scrutiny from the U.S. regulators, like it says here.
Yeah.
Just saying that for whatever good or bad it does, that is just factually accurate. And there's arguments for and against, but that's just what's happening. And now says in the US, the version 2023-1210 of the software spotted on 2 Australian vehicles makes the full self-driving beta available to all Tesla owners who have purchased the software after the rollout was paused, while Tesla introduced update software to address the recall of the thingy. Owners who had purchased and joined the FSD beta trial prior to the pause could still use the software. So this is the one that I wanted to discuss because it was already here, and I'm wondering if that's why you thought that it was old news, because this was already here and then they paused it, and it only if you were in the trial, which is kind of hard to get in and very easy to get kicked out, and and all of these things. But now it's officially apparently coming to everyone, even if it's not they haven't flipped the switch yet, but it seems to be there on the line somewhere.
Interesting. Anyway. Yeah, I do need to look into this a bit further.
All right. Well, it is what it is. Alex, Mr. Honest, journalist, and this article is from drive.com.au. Elon Musk says that he's happy to share Tesla driverless technology with other car makers after General Motors CEO says electric cars won't be profitable for years. First of all, two things to unpack here. The driverless technology is what's not making the cars profitable?
Well, he's just saying, so there's two separate things. It's almost like two separate
That's
articles.
what I'm saying. That's the first one.
But GM is saying electric cars won't be profitable for years. Well, I guess that's kind of a lie, because Teslas are profitable right now, and they are like already. So that's kind of silly.
So I've gone through the article.
GM's cars won't be profitable.
So after he said that, Elon Musk went and said, like, as he usually does, a little bit condescending sometimes. He went and said, yes. "Oh well, don't worry, we'll help you be profitable by sharing our technology with you."
Which I think is a great move from Tesla to do.
It is a fantastic move, but I still stand that they are not sharing what they need to share. It's like sharing your pizza, but only the crust and the box, because. And I keep going on about this, how Tesla doesn't share the thing that makes the Tesla stand out more than anything else, which is the battery chemistry and the battery management. Those two things they don't share, which are huge. And we talked about it a lot.
They've opened up all their patents and stuff, so I wonder if there's any patents on those that they ever have released. But yeah, that is a huge part of their moat or their competitive advantage. Exactly what you said. Their battery chemistry and their battery management.
So my understanding, and I could be wrong in this, last time that I checked it on maybe would have been a few more months. So take this with a grain of salt. My understanding on this is that they've shared everything, every single piece of software that makes the car drive, every single piece of software about development for the console and all of that. But two things they are still on the patent and they are not sharing: battery chemistry, because and what they are sort of justifying about that is that they're still on the R&D, on the research and development, so they cannot share it because someone may die if they do. That is what they are essentially being public about. And the other one is battery management. So that bit, for what I understood, and again I could be wrong, that bit of software, it was not being opened, at least not yet. So sharing the autopilot would make a huge difference.
Because the other challenge is, how would another manufacturer integrate it? Like, it's still a lot of work, and Tesla has vertical integration. They have control over all of the things. But then if a lot of the other car manufacturers are buying parts from other manufacturers and just kind of putting them together like Lego blocks. And I just don't think that GM is capable of actually licensing it and using it. So maybe some
All
of them
right.
are, but
Let me
I
explain
reckon that's
software
going to be a
engineer to
challenge.
you, Kieran.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, if you don't know, this software engineer is just plugging things between hardware and turning them on and off, and maybe dialing them from 10 to 0 and 0 to 10. That's it. Toggle them on, toggle off, 0
Sure,
to 10. So,
sure.
how hard can it be to push the pedal, cars go fast, not push the car up, not push the pedal, the car goes low. So obviously I'm being facetious and stupid, but on a surface level this sounds very easy. So what are the challenges of this for real?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, if you have, say, if you have a screen and an entertainment unit in there, which maybe you manage and have the software for, or maybe you get another vendor that manages that, and then that needs to connect to the cameras, and it also needs to uh, then also connect to the steering and the buttons, etc. So all of those integrations with all the different parts, they could all have firmware in them. If they're done by different companies, you're going to have to work with every single one of those different companies to get them to build this system for you that's going to work. But if you have full vertical integration and you own you write the firmware and the software for all of those components, you can have a much better time of writing a system. So the other thing with FSD or the autopilot systems in Teslas is that they have a specific computer designed just to run all this stuff. So it takes
Yes.
in the cameras and deals with that, and then makes the decisions, etc. So I don't know. Does that mean that they would have to buy the Tesla FSD computer and put that into GMs if GM was to license it? Like, I just don't know. I don't see the path here on how. Sure, they're like, yeah, we'll license it, but how is it actually going to happen? And I don't think some
That
of
is
these legacy manufacturers are going to be able to even use it.
that is my point. Like very, very publicly, Tesla has like essentially an Nvidia car that is dealing with AI and doing all of this crap around the car for the full self-driving. They are buying hundreds of thousands of Nvidia cards that are very specifically designed for the Teslas. Would GM be able to do that? Chances are not. And your what's the name of the chip manufacturer? TMC, the Chinese one.
TSMC.
TSMC, your TSMC, so your Nvidia, so any of those would actually be able to sell all of those parts and components to other car manufacturers if they're already struggling just with Tesla. So I think that's a little bit of a wishy-washy. Like like, oh, I'll I'll get my star on my forehead, and it's everybody else's fault. But I mean, could you break down and get, like, I don't know, some kind of driver or some kind of like code there and use it for something different and just chop it into pieces, or getting a piece of something? Or is that just harder than just starting from the ground up?
Yeah, I don't know, because you need a system that can have access to the cameras, all of the cameras. It then also has to have access to the accelerator and the brake, and then also display visualizations on the screen as well. Like that's just some of the bits off the top of my head that it needs to do, as well
But
as other things.
we're talking about full
So
self-driving here more than anything else. So
yeah, exactly.
China's E.V.s battery sector is preparing for a new breakthrough. Kieran loves a good battery chemistry article. He is pumped.
Well, yeah. I don't know. It depends. I think that maybe I did read ahead with this a little bit.
Okay, so
Uh,
there's this new technology that is part of
I
an.
might be more excited about this than last week.
Okay. Because because Kieran doesn't like salt. He's a little bit salty about sodium. that's, that's a chemistry joke. So the LMFP chemistry has been around for a while. It's widely used and available in lots of different uses. It's not new, the LMFP, but apparently this is new technology that adds manganese to that. Essentially, they just add like a dash of it and they simmer it. I don't know how it works. Yes, a splash of manganese, like like
Yep.
the Salt Bay. Some manganese on it, and then abracastroino, because that's the name of it. That's the name of it. That's exactly how I said. Like a big cauldron. They are like cooking batteries, and it's like a pinch of manganese, like newt's toes and and frog's words and manganese, and they call it
Yeah.
the astroino. Uh, which apparently, according to this article, and I'm gonna let you talk more about it because that's as far as I go in my understanding of this. It's good because manganese is good. So you read
Yeah.
ahead.
I am no expert on battery chemistry. I am just a interested observer. I think the bit in this article that got me exciting is the fact that it should be not that far away. So Tesla's already talking about manganese, and LFP batteries have shown that they are very, very great and that they work in certain climates. Like in Australia, LFP batteries have been amazing, and a lot of people like them. Like you like it in your car.
I love my LFP battery. So
Yeah,
the M.
LMFP
Sorry.
is the
Just
new
to
one.
interrupt. Just to add a little bit of context. The M stands for manganese.
Yeah. So this is the new one. So adding manganese in to the LFP battery is a LMFP.
That's it. Okay.
The other thing as well, so there's a few things that make me interested. It's not new. So this technology's been around. So it's already been investigated. There's already been some stuff. It's been used for different reasons before. So for low conductivity to high temperature dissolution or low density. So
Apparently,
it's,
it charges really
big
fast.
words.
So
Yeah.
if you
So
go
charging really fast is great. That's great.
and also the density of it, it's smaller once you add manganese because I don't know.
Yeah. But that
reasons.
means that it's not far off. And it even says that in the article as well, is that it could be in cars very soon and be in mass production as soon as the second quarter next year. And I think that's comparing with the sodium batteries from last week. There was no talk of mass production this year, whereas this one is exciting because mass production this year.
Well, yes, but you have to start somewhere. Like, you don't go and say, "Oh, I've discovered this thing called the gravity." It's like, "Oh, well, that's really, really good. Can I jump dive from somewhere?" It's like, no, hold on. I just discovered gravity. Now let's talk about it. So that's where I think the sodium is, and I know that it's 5 to 7, maybe 10 years away from, even if it comes, like, being able to push a button and drive it through. But I think the chemistry in general is interesting because of the capabilities of
this
it.
is super exciting. It's going to happen this year, according to this manufacturer. It's going to cost 5% less and 20 to 25% cheaper. So if you can reduce your battery's cost by 20%, you're going to reduce the price of an electric vehicle by a lot. And I think that's what Tesla realized when they switched to LFP batteries for some of their cheaper models. They have been saving a bunch of money too. So this is all moving in the right direction. We need cheaper batteries because they're the most expensive part of an electric vehicle. And if they can be reduced, then fantastic. And rather than pie in the sky technology that'll be here in 10 years, this is this year.
10 years is not pie in the sky. You're
In
poking the bear.
In battery technology, it's slow, too slow. We need
Too
it
slow.
faster.
What are you talking about? There's technologies that, all right.
The Earth is heating up. We need to fix it sooner.
That's a whole conversation. Like, I know this is a step in the right direction, but do you think this is going to be the thing that is going to cool it off?
No. There's just a tiny piece. But that's the thing. We need incremental improvements. We need concerted efforts from everyone in every industry and to make things better. And this is great. This is a positive sign.
We need to eat kangaroos and not cows, essentially. That would actually, as stupid as that sounds, you know this?
Yeah.
This is a thing. Do you know this or not?
I haven't heard this one.
Well, okay. So, and just because we started on this thing, I'll go through it really, really quickly. Kangaroos, apparently, they don't fart, or when they fart, or when they pass gas, they do not release the same gases as a cow.
I didn't know that's where you were going with this one. Okay.
Yes, it's huge. So essentially, if we would change from eating beef from cows to eating kangaroos, we could reduce emissions from the farming industry, which is one of the biggest ones, one of the biggest reasons of why the planet is heating so goddamn much, by eating kangaroos. It's something that has been checked in the United Nations and things like that.
Maybe that's another channel, Mac, a farming farming channel.
It is interesting anyway. Kieran. So you can have a cup of coffee and rest at the charging station, and the battery will be charged from 10 to 80% within 18 minutes using the step charging.
Bring it on.
He said that is probably the biggest one. Besides the cost coming down, the fact that you could charge in 80 minutes from 10
cost
to 80.
is more exciting than I don't need faster charging. Charging's fast
A
enough.
lot. No, I would say 75% of the people that are against electric cars, the speed of charging and
Yeah, but they don't know. They don't know what they need.
that's what. No, again, like this is more about what it represents more than what it actually is. And there's a huge. And I know that obviously we are enthusiasts and we understand this, but there's lots of people that don't, and they keep thinking.
Yeah. I think though, if you bring down the cost of a car and you make it, and you can make it either price parity or cheaper than a petrol car, people are just going to be like, oh, like all of that other stuff. They're just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to get one anyway. They're just going to become the default. Like price, I think, is much more important than the charging speed.
There would still be people that say, I don't care how cheap it is.
Yeah, but that's going to be like a small amount of people.
I don't know how small it is. Anyway. All right, this one is yours. You are super, super excited about this.
I'm not super excited.
Super excited about this, Kieran. Tell.
I think which is great is that it's the constant race is that, the Model S Plaid went to the Nürburgring and it created a record time. Then there was the Porsche came and beat it. And now there's a new version with track mode, which is a new software update for the Model S, and it's now beat it again.
But the Porsche that beat it, was it electric or internal combustion?
Yes, electric Porsche, yeah.
There you go. So
this is now the top speed, all cars, faster than every other production car at the Nürburgring.
Okay. Well,
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. There may be other production petrol cars that are faster, but I think
can't see
it's
that
the
being
top.
true. Like production.
Yeah, because the article specifically calls out EV, production EV. But,
I don't know.
I do think it beats every car.
Well, I would find very, very hard for another production. Like I know there's supercars like, your Bugatti Veyrons and your F1s and stuff like that. But production cars that is faster, any production car that is faster than a production EV in general, I find that very, very hard. Maybe there is. I don't know.
There's also some interesting bits here. Is that the Tesla is actually speed limited, so there could actually be some improvements in the lap time if in a future software update they unlock the high speed, and on the straight it could knock off a few more seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that's exciting. It just means that we're pushing forward on the performance. Things are getting better. Things are improving. And Tesla are taking it. They're not just listening, like settling and saying, oh, this is good enough. They're continually pushing and making things better.
So, first of all, not for Australia because we don't have Model S's. And
sadly.
Kieran says Plaid. I said Plate. But that's all right. He's wrong. That's okay. Well, how is it pronounced? Plaid or Plaid? Plaid.
Plaid.
Plaid. Anyway, so the Model S Plaid.
Plaid.
The Model S Plaid. It's not in Australia, but if you want to get this, the Model S track pack, you need to pay 20,000 American, and they will take it away from you and they will retrofit it. But is that hardware or is that software? What makes it go this fast?
The difference between the previous one was the track mode, which was the software, and I think there's some other things here that I mentioned in the article, like the tires, and there's better brakes and other things like that.
But essentially, it's just brakes. So it makes it go faster because they put better brakes, or it's just a safety thing that
it allows it to go faster. Yeah.
Okay.
So it has a higher top speed because of track mode.
Yeah, I know, but that's software. So when they do the thing that they do. Is it a hardware
thing?
You
need to have the brake kit in order for it to unlock those speeds. I think so. I'm not sure. But I know that brakes are important for safety.
Yeah, of course. So that's exactly where I'm going. So at the end of the day, essentially, in essence, this car is just as fast as any other Model S Plaid. But they won't let you have it unless you have the brakes. Pretty much.
I think
boils
so.
Down to that. Electric vehicle owners want to brace for looming electricity price rises. I put that one here because, and this is from Ben Zachariah, and it's from The Drive. Because we keep seeing this over and over and over and over and over, but now that if you read a little bit around it, it says that the Australian Energy Regulator confirmed that approximately 600,000 customers in South Australia, New South Wales and Southeast Queensland will be affected by that increase. That is between 20 and 25%. Now,
so the default market offer for electricity has increased, which is it's been coming for a while, and it's now actually happening this month.
The jump of, charging your whole car from $24.11 to $29.87.
Yeah, but it's also the default offer. So if you have a chat to your energy provider and you get another electricity plan from them, it could be cheaper than that.
Yes, and this is from a 60 kilowatt per hour.
But also, this doesn't assume you have solar, right? So if you've got solar panels and a battery, you can be generating your own electricity, so that doesn't matter.
And this 60 kilowatt,
I think it's over.
Yeah, that's what I was going. This 60 kilowatts a little bit high. I pay around 35. 60 kilowatt, I think that 60 kilowatt per hour, 60 cents per kilowatt, sorry, is what usually gets charged, like in fast charges and things like that. The article breaks it down really, really well by, how much it is, where it is. What is interesting here is that the electricity price shocks come just months after E.V. Ample and ChargeFox all announced increase of between 11 and 15%. 15. What did they call it? Percent? Is that a percentage?
Percent increase of their existing prices.
So I hate when okay, they should just put the percent because that makes me that makes it a little bit confusing.
Yeah, as in like 15%.
Because that is saying that is the price per cent as a cent of a dollar. But anyway, instead of saying like a percentage.
That is a really confusing sentence. Yeah.
That is exactly what I'm saying. Anyway, at selected electric car recharging sites. Now, Kieran, I don't know if you are at freedom of talking about where you work and if this is something that is going to happen where you work, which is not one of those ones. Or is it? I don't know, actually. If you're in Liberty, is that something that is happening to
I can talk about generally. So the electricity prices, wholesale prices have increased. It's mostly, sadly, driven by gas generators, and the gas price because of the war in Ukraine, which really sucks. This price increase has happened. The problem is that it's really slow. Is that the wholesale, this market offer is set by the regulator and happens really slowly, and is actually a response to the high prices previously. But prices in the wholesale market have kind of come down again. So. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. The fact that electricity prices are going up is not great. I personally use Amber Electric for my electricity, which means that I can get access to the wholesale market. And because I have a battery, I can buy electricity when the wind's blowing and the sun's shining. And then I can even sell that back to the grid later on when it's super expensive. And overall, my electricity prices are lower now that I am exposed to the wholesale energy market.
Okay, but you were smart enough to invest in that. You have solar in your house?
Yeah, I have solar. So I think that's the thing for this particular article. If you've got solar and you charge during like the times when you've got extra solar and you do self-consumption, then that's great. If you've got a battery as well, that's the thing. I think the thing that sucks about this is it's going to affect the people that can't afford those investments the most, and that the electricity price is going to hit hard for people. Yeah.
If you have an electric car, chances are you can afford it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think this is as big of a problem as it's mentioned here.
I don't think it is.
I think energy prices increasing is a problem for low socioeconomic people because it is a large portion of their bills.
No, not only that, it would make everything else increase because everything runs on electricity. So, everything in general would actually come up in price, just as a rule. Because if fuel goes up, if electricity goes up, everything else goes up. And that is a problem, but that's what we're talking about. I thought it was a little bit disingenuous. Like, yes, it would come up, but it's still incredibly cheap. And this is not a huge thing, I don't think. First of all, because they are taking the 60 cents, which I don't think a lot of people pay 60 cents. I think most people pay like 40 to 45 cents. So I don't know. I don't think it's a huge increase. I don't think it's a big deal for your charging your car. So yes, if you were, filling up your car with, I don't know, $20 now, you're paying 23. I don't think it's a massive deal, to be honest. And that's the end of the chat, Kieran. Thank you very much for coming over.
Cheers. Yeah, it was great to have a chat with you today about all these topics.
Good news, bad news, a little bit of everything, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, see you then.